Aardman Animation has been responsible for a good amount of cherished characters, from chickens trying to fly the coop to a cheese-loving inventor and his dog. However, impressively, the character who's managed to attain the biggest worldwide popularity is not Wallace and Gromit, but rather a sheep who appeared alongside them in one of their Oscar-winning shorts. Since Nick Park first devised Shaun the Sheep, he has traveled far beyond Bristol and become a global superstar in the most unexpected places. Shaun made his on-screen debut in 1995 to Close Shave, as part of a flock of sheep owned by Wallace's love interest Wendeline. Shaun ended up being quite the scene stealer of how he finds himself a part of Wallace and Gromit's lives. So much of the joy of A Close Shave was how Nick Park found a lot of humor out of Shaun continually eating everything in the house, but Shaun managed to be quite the hero in the story. While Park's design is excellent, he does not just rely on cuteness and instead imbues Shaun with a lot of intelligence and cheekiness. There's even a growing respect that occurs between Gromit and Shaun that's quite touching. Shaun even breaks Gromit out of prison using a buzzsaw. Park and the animators are able to find multiple funny scenarios for the sheep to partake in, especially during a big chase scene against the evil dog Preston. A Close Shave was a brilliant short and well deserving of its Academy Award, but like Wallace and Gromit, Shaun himself would take a bit of a break from the limelight afterwards. Shaun did make a brief appearance in a Cracking Contraptions webisode in 2002, showing up to once again nibble at Wallace's cheese. Curiously, Shaun did not appear in Wallace and Gromit's feature film debut, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, but much to our eventual delight, Aardman was planning something special for the little sheep. Aardman animator and Rex the Run creator Richard Starzak started developing a television series starring Shaun the Sheep, which debuted in 2007 and introduced us to a farm full of new characters and hilarious situations. The main appeal of the Shaun the Sheep series is how Starzak avoids using any sort of dialogue, instead relying on pantomime and silent comedy. That gives the comedy a universal quality that transcends all ages, and while it is marketed primarily towards a children's audience, the laughs are definitely not exclusively pitched to the younger set. The episodes usually center on Shaun and the other sheep getting involved in some sort of mischief, all behind the unaware eyes of their farmer. There's a lot of humor gained out of how they hide their more anthropomorphic abilities from him, with Shaun essentially acting as the leader of the sheep, trying his best to keep everything under control. However, even Shaun has his moments of weakness when he participates in the hijinks. The animators convey so much with just the sheep's movements, whether it's the way they gesture their hands or react to what crazy event has occurred. Another prominent character is Bitzer the dog, who has to keep watch over the farm animals. He's almost like the middleman between the farmer and the sheep, and he can almost be considered a close cousin of Gromit's. Shaun the Sheep has been described as a workplace comedy, and that's an apt description, as Bitzer is essentially the supervisor, while the sheep would rather do anything else than work. The farmer is a great character too, with him continually finding himself with new hobbies that the sheep use to their advantage. In one episode, he buys a piano, and the sheep attempt to play it, and then return it without waking him up. One of many clever storylines where the lack of dialogue is brilliantly utilized. While Shaun gets top billing, the rest of the sheep are hardly shortchanged either. Timmy is the baby of the group, and some of the sweeter parts of the show come from how Shaun cares and watches over him, and he proved popular enough to even get his own show later on. While many of the situations often come out of the sheep trying to have as much fun as they can about the farmer finding out, the series also has its occasional antagonists. The most frequent ones are the pigs, who prove to be rather narcissistic in their want to mess with the sheep's happy lives and don't seem to care all that much about the farmer. My main question I do have about the series is its continuity with A Close Shave. You would think it would be set afterwards, but the Shaun the Sheep movie reveals the farmer his own Shaun since he was a little lamb, so it's set before? I have not been able to find an answer to this. Speaking of the movie, Richard Starzak and his co-director Mark Burton created a sweet and extremely funny story that managed to expand on the world by taking Shaun and his friends to the big city. The television episodes only ran 7 minutes, and yet the Shaun the Sheep movie never feels stretched out, and it seems to take more than a few cues from Chaplin in creating a feature-length script. There are multiple hilarious scenes, with the restaurant sequence being my favorite. A particularly touching element is how the film develops the relationship between the farmer and his farm animals. We really see how close they are in the way Bitzer and the sheep look up to him as almost like a father figure. Even the way music is utilized is quite brilliant, with the original song Feels Like Summer popping up in the appropriate spots. It's a delightful and charming movie, and while it did not find much of an audience in North America, the film was successful in the rest of the world. And for obvious reasons, as Shaun the Sheep has proven to be a bit of an international sensation. Because the television series and movie have no dialogue, there's no need to translate anything beyond the theme song for a worldwide audience. The stories and humor of Shaun the Sheep are written and animated in such a universal way and never talk down to the audience. Shaun the Sheep is especially beloved in Japan, where he has joined the likes of Totoro and Super Mario as a pop culture icon, and a Shaun the Sheep theme park even opened in Sweden a few years ago. His global appeal is such that Studio Canal and Aardman are releasing a sequel late this year, titled A Shaun the Sheep Movie Farmageddon, which will involve aliens coming down to Mossy Bottom Farm, and I'm very excited for it. Whatever adventure he ends up going on, Shaun the Sheep is sure to bring a smile to one's face. Thank you to Nick Park for creating him, and to Richard Sarzak for carrying on the mantle with the television series. See you next time.